So the girl has come back to Nairobi with her mother after maybe a month or so. She doesn't know, of course. I'm just assuming it was maybe a month because of the activities, of course, that took place. So, but she has come back to Nairobi and she begins to live life with her father, mother, 2 siblings, and herself, and then another sibling came. So, a family of 6. This is something that this girl does not know how it works. Please know. She was raised by her grandfather as the only child of her grandfather, probably. All she knows is go. But anyway, she's fascinated by gari ya moshi, fascinated by lights, electricity. She's fascinated by tall buildings, movement of vehicles, people talking, because she doesn't know what they are saying. So she's very fascinated. Anyway, she lives in that family. So it's time to go to school. She needs to be taken to school because, of course, at this point it's a grown person. So she was taken, of course, her grandfather had taken her to school and she had learned how to write 1, 2, 3. But she's being taken to school, but remember, she cannot speak any other language. But anyway, she was taken to school, to a school in Kibera called St. Gabriel. She went to St. Gabriel, I think 1 term or 2. Then she dropped out because sometimes there's no food to eat to go to school. There's no uniform to wear. Of course, this is life in the city, but it's full of poverty. There's a lot of poverty in this home. This girl and other children would go to a place called Undugu in Kibera. There's a group called Utuema that used to go cook food and come and give to the children. This girl would go there and get food for herself and her other children, her other siblings, and take home. So that is the kind of life she lived. Now, after probably like a year or so, when she could now speak English, she's a Swahili, not English, Swahili, and understand, play with other children. And some of the games they played were where you put ever-ready batteries that were used for radios those times. Maybe 12 those sides and 12 this sides, and then you hit. A friend of mine took me to Sarit Center. I'm going to, let's go play ball, do bowling. Me, I'm thinking, what is this bowling? But I hit them because I played that game. This girl's family were poor until the poor called them poor. They could not afford food. So you see, between food and education, which one is a priority? 3 basic needs. Basic needs are food, clothing, and shelter. For them, education was luxury. So she enrolled there was a program of that used to happen in Kibera, a place called Undugu. So people would go, there's a groups of missionaries or well-wishers that would cook food. You know how people in well-off places go with food to the slum to give children and clothes. Now this one was particularly poor food. So this girl would go to that place with containers, many containers. Then she would go serve food, go and see and do a corner, hide, come back, serve again, go hide, come back, serve again, so that she can have food for herself and her siblings at home. So she would live there with a big container of food carrying home. Currently, when we see somebody do that, we would think this person is being greed, it's gluttony, it's all those kinds of stuff, and sometimes we even beat them or something. But according to the story of this girl, you would understand that she was looking for food for her siblings at home. It's because they don't have. It's not that she was going to eat or poor or something. So she would do that so that she takes the food to her siblings at home. And that's how. So after some time, like when she could now speak Swahili, not English. When she could speak Swahili, she was promoted to class. She went to another school and she was taken to class 2 because of age. In the slums, people just look for money or from well-wishers, or there are so many NGOs that come up, oh, we are starting a school, and sometimes they just pick children. So this girl was part of those people that were just picked. So she joined a school and she was taken to class 2. Please, you are taking to a class 2 to someone who cannot read, cannot write, cannot do anything. But anyway, that's where this girl was taken. And then after some time, she dropped out of school because again, there are no food to eat at home, and so on and so forth. So in the slum, priority is not given to education. Why? Because it's not a basic need. In the slum, education is not a basic need. Basic need is food, clothing, and shelter. Close of business. Education is luxury. And that's why if you are able, it is important that you give priority to reaching out to the vulnerable. That's one of the reasons why we call them the vulnerables. They are called the vulnerable. So after some time, this girl's family, where she's living now, she's living with her father, mother, and siblings. And remember, she was used to living with her grandfather. That is all she knew. But now life has changed. Life is quite different here. She doesn't know what happened really, but now she was again taken from this home, life in the city, to another family in the village. And she was told that your father is there, that the man there is your father. So she went to that village and she was taken to that village by her mother. So in that village, somewhere in Ukambani, so her said father was married with a wife and 4 other children. So she came like, this girl was like second last born, if we were to arrange the children of that other wife. So there was first to number 4, so she would be in between the last born and her. So that's where she was taken. This lady that was married there was a pharmacist. A pharmacist in a local dispensary in the village. So was a pharmacist, and so she stayed there. I will not mention that village so that for the security of the girl. Anyway, so this girl lived with that family, but this was the worst place she has ever lived. Why? Because she didn't go to school. She was used to like the house girl in that home. She was the one to fetch water. She was the one to do all those. And you see, her mother has just dropped her. This is your father's house. And her mother has gone back. So that's where she lived, all alone in a strange home. The mother doesn't come, but mother sends money or something like that. So she lived there, and she was taken to a nearby school to class 3. So at some point she had to drop out of school because she doesn't have uniform, she doesn't have shoes, and because she doesn't go to school, so she would be the one to take the goats to get water, she would be the one to cook, she would be the one to do any house chore. She would even be the one to watu wa Kitui, mnajua wale watoto wanakujanga kuuza kunde. She would go to the farm because she is trying to buy, so she would be on and off school, so she would get kunde from the shamba and go sell in Kitui, wait for women when they are passing 4 in the morning and join them, go to Kitui carrying the kunde and on her back walking, and it was a long like 5 kilometers or 6 distance she would walk with those women, and then now begin to walk from shop to shop asking, would you buy kunde, would you buy kunde? But she would not ask whether would you buy kunde. She would say, nimukudowa noni. So that is what she used to do, whether you buy kunde. So she would sell that kunde, come back home. Now, she was not allowed to use fare, and fare was 30 shillings. Because she was a child, because it is a young girl, So she would pay 30 shillings while others are paying 100. You remember those times of face me, I face you, matatus would be, but she would not be allowed by the wife in that home to do that. So she would walk back home and give the money to the stepmom, if I am to use that word. Please note that in the morning, she would, during the day, she would not even be given food. She would not be given food to eat. So she began to steal. She would eat maybe cassava when she goes to the farm or something like that. So she began to steal food when she's told to, in the village, people cook with 3 stones and firewood. So she's left with a pot on the fire, and she's supposed to ensure that it is ready by the time other children come from school, because she has to stay there. The father, I don't know where the father would have gone to, but the mother was, of course I had said, the mother was a pharmacist in the local dispensary. So she would steal some food before it's ready, because when mudokoi, the kamba mudokoi, when the mudokoi is ready, you can tell whether somebody ate or not. But before it is ready, you can scoop some, put some water, and then the cream that comes on top will come, so you will not be known. She will put in the pocket and go with it and eat from the farm and come back. So that was life. Now, this happened. One morning she was sent, just as usual, she was sent to the shop to go and buy sugar, bread and milk. Obviously, she knows she will not taste that bread. She will not take the tea. She will not take anything of what she has been sent to go and buy. So, in the village, the shops have wire mesh. If you know village, I'm not talking about villages that have cities. Nakuru, Nakuru is becoming. I'm talking about a village that is a true village. So it is wire mesh, shopkeeper is on the other side and you're on the other side, but they arranged their things here, so there was bread. So this girl began to steal that bread. Anaingiza kakidole, anachuna. Anaingiza kakidole, anachuna. So she would start to scoop. So she was seen by the shopkeeper. This shop is like 1 kilometer away from her current home. My friend, mwizi na mob justice. So the shopkeeper said, thief, kakasichana kanaiba. Let me tell you, that girl was beaten. She was beaten. And then the mother was called. Not the stepmother, the mother of that home. And the mother said, I don't know her. This girl was, I don't know which word I can use for chokora. This girl is a street child that I was just given from Nairobi to stay with. I don't know her.